Hey party people, we are live for the first time in 2019 and I hope to God that you guys had a restful and enjoyable holiday season. I know I did. It was honestly one of the first times that I've almost completely set work aside so that I could focus on family and, just relaxing and taking a break from the grind, because now that we're in 2019, it's going to start all over again. And, honestly, I feel more prepared than I ever had because I took that time to relax. So, again, I hope for you the same things. We haven't had one of these in about 3 weeks now. Part of that was because I was taking a break. I know I mentioned that I might do some of these lives while I was back in Illinois at my family's house, and I just decided, I just wanted to take a full break, and I think that there's a lesson in that for everyone. If you are also running a business, don't feel like you have to do certain things over the holidays when it's going to be a burden to you. And honestly, when people are maybe not even paying attention, it's questionable. There's things like, holiday sales and stuff that get attention, but I feel like content for the most part, creating it and promoting it is something that maybe, at least for me, just doesn't really get the same views over the holidays. As always, helps to test whatever guesses you have. You might notice a completely different situation for your blog or whatever your content is, but that's just me. So anyways, let's move forward a bit. A lot has happened in the past 3 weeks. I won't touch too much on all of it just because I want to get straight to the point here. I am wearing workout gear because I'm going to hold you guys as my accountability buddies, whether you want to or not, for going to the gym after this live is done. I've been one of those awful people who is usually so good during the year, but in the last couple of months, I just haven't, gotten my butt to the gym, and I'm going to be one of those resolutioners who uses that as my excuse. It's good timing because all the holiday stuff that I ate. And a pro tip for you, if you ever have to hop on a video call with a potential client or for whatever reason and you didn't shower that day, just put on some workout gear and they will think that you are awesome. That's not what I did today. I didn't shower, but I really am trying to go to the gym after this. So let's go ahead and get into the audit for today. I think there are a lot of lessons to be learned from my BFF, Nico Pressley. That's her stage name, her website, her portfolio website. And this is going to be an especially interesting and perhaps awkward audit because I made her website. And while I was looking through her website just to kind of remind myself of the structure and how I put it together, the design, I was trying to think of when I made this for her, and the answer's actually in the footer. It was in 2017. I think it was I made this as a Christmas gift or birthday gift or something because her birthday's in January. So it was almost 2 years ago, I think, that I made this website. And it's from one of my favorite theme companies. Is called Themes Kingdom, if you want to check them out. They have a lot of nice, really clean, simple, easy to edit templates that you can put to work for yourself if you use WordPress. But the fact that her footer date, the copyright date, is 2017 is actually a great reminder for everybody in 2019. There's a way to hard code the current year into your footer copyright date on WordPress and probably on everything else too, but that's where my expertise lies. So reminder to everybody to look at your footer, your website footer, whether it's yours, your company's, whatever, and just make sure that's up to date because it looks kind of shitty if it's not. It looks like, you haven't updated this website in quite some time. Nikki, based on the things that I have already previously looked through this website about, you and I are going to have a call just to get everything back up to date, and you'll see why in a minute. But for everybody else, this is your friendly reminder to check your website footer copyright date. So looking at Nikki's website, super simple. Focus on her, which is what I was going for when I designed it. I wanted it to be all about, here's Nikki, here's who she is as an actress, who she is as a model, why you should hire her. Knowing what I know now, since 2017 was 2 years ago, and a lot has changed for me professionally since then in terms of what I think are best practices. One thing that might be useful is to add on to her headline. Nico Pressley maybe is an LA-based actress and model who, some sort of specializes in this type of modeling, this type of acting. So that it's immediately understandable to anybody who sees this what it is that she does. She goes into it obviously down here in this little blurb, but again, it's all about the user and making it immediately relevant. Having to read a whole chunk of text in order to find that out about her is not the ideal solution. Another thing that might be useful on the homepage, now looking back at it after I designed it, is having some call to actions. I would say perhaps the most important call to action for Nico is to have a get in touch, either an embedded contact form or a button that says get in touch to talk about upcoming projects or something like that. But what might also be useful either next to or before that call to action button would be something like check out my portfolio, because, we have some pictures of Nikki here, but they might want to, prospective people might want to learn a little bit more about her work before they get in touch. It just kind of makes logical sense. So, not a problem to have both sort of call to action buttons on that homepage, but, definitely you want to be thinking through that whole funnel of how people decide to work with you. So let's talk about the contact page, because it looks like this actually broke. So another friendly reminder that the new year is the perfect time to go through your website and just manually click through and see if stuff still works the way you thought it did. Another way to find sort of broken links that maybe don't redirect to where you need them to go is to go on Google Search Console and connect that with your website, and it'll tell you if there are any problems in terms of that. It can't tell you necessarily if a link is directing to the wrong page, more so if it's just completely broken. So sometimes these manual checks are really what you need to figure out if your website is really working the way you want it to. So as you can see here, there's some short codes listed here where a contact form should be. What might have happened is throughout the course of updates or something, something broke. Maybe there's a plugin, this TK, that's for Themes Kingdom, so that's their own set of plugins. Probably just some, it needs to be updated, or maybe there's an incompatibility issue. For things like this, I would suggest for the majority of people who don't have a best friend who's a web designer to use a WordPress maintenance service like WP Buffs, or I also use one called Zelf.net, to make sure that these plugin issues don't get in the way of a functioning website, and also to kind of be that extra set of eyes if you're not good about going on and proactively looking for problems. It's usually something like $40 a month per website. They'll handle all theme, plugin, core software version updates, and as with Zelf, you actually get a web development credit every month per website that you have them maintaining for you to make any changes that might need to be changed. So something for you to think about, especially since we are in the new year and trying to, create better businesses and better lives for ourselves. This is the time to be thinking about that stuff. Another problem that I noticed, Nikki, you're going to kill me, is that the resume is no longer embedding nicely. So what I did initially, and this was after I built her website, was that Nikki wanted to directly embed her resume on her website so that you could just view it and then download it if you wanted to. And I used some sort of plugin or something to make it happen, but for whatever reason, now it's not showing up. And again, it might be a plugin incompatibility issue. It might just need an update. For whatever reason, Nikki, you and I need to fix this. So we will schedule a call soon, and you're really going to kill me for this one because it looks like the portfolio page is no longer working either. So PSA, guys, don't leave your website unattended for too long, because with WordPress, there's just all this stuff that could get in the way of something functioning. It's possible that maybe Nikki went in and changed the URL for the portfolio, because as you'll see here, it's actually redirecting to a page called Home, which I don't think exists. So it might be here. If I type portfolio, unfortunately, it doesn't show up either. We might have named it something else. And, obviously she and I will go through this, but, so that's the unfortunate thing about this audit, is that we're going to be focusing more on proactively, checking in on your website more so than what we can do right now to make it better. So, stuff to think about. So that's for her modeling. And then, so for her acting, here's the link to that resume that's not working right now. But also, I'm just making sure that I actually switched the screen. Yes, I did. Okay, that's good. So Nikki also puts together a bunch of really fun videos that she has, paid professionals to help her do like the editing and like sound and stuff like that. All worth watching. Also, she has some YouTube embeds here of different projects that she's been a part of, so that people can see how her look translates to movement, on screen. She even put together this cool series called Stall Calls. And, definitely check these out if you're looking for a laugh. Nikki's hilarious, and she does a really great job with putting together these videos. So this is a great way to display that part of what she does. The modeling stuff is also, it's something visual that helps to be displayed in sort of a portfolio setting, which is what we had set up. Portfolios on WordPress are so weird. Sometimes stuff just breaks or it doesn't translate to a new theme. So we'll have to look at what went wrong with that, or if it was like a simple name change. One thing I would suggest for this page with the videos is to add like a table of contents of sorts. You can do that with a plugin, but another way to do that is to use A records. So essentially A records work by, you're on a certain page. So like right now, www.nicopressley.com/actress. And then what you do to create anchors is you set different names for different parts of the page. So like, let's say that we wanted to do one for stall calls. It would link out looking like something like this with the hashtag stall calls. How you would set the anchor within the text itself would be the caret, this way facing caret, a name equals quote, that # stall calls, and then like that. And so what happens is you put this in your text. You could use like the text editor on WordPress and add that in right before stall calls right here. And then you would link to it up here. So you'd have like your table of contents. And so you would just say the normal link tag is a space ref space. Did I say space? I don't know. And then stall calls. And then you'd say whatever the anchor text would be. And, if you have questions about that, feel free to get in touch. This is just a super quick overview of how to do page anchors. And so you'd put this text at the top of the page, and it would say, like, navigate to, different types of videos I've done to make it easy, again, for somebody who wants to learn more about Nikki, but wants to learn more based on what's most relevant to their projects. So she might even take some time either within the text or at the beginning as part of her table of contents to say, this is the purpose of this project. This is the purpose of that one. This is like what I was going for with this. This was my role in that, and so on. So adding a table of contents would definitely help to flesh out this page, and just Nikki start thinking about the copy you would use to explain each thing. So, and the same thing on her modeling portfolio, adding a sentence or two just about like what her role was or what the point of, that shoot was, like the client, stuff like that, all just helps to help people understand her range and, what she's best at doing. So then we have this about page. And I think it's really good. I think it has pretty much everything that somebody needs to know about Nikki in order to take that next step, besides obviously looking at her portfolio samples. what I would suggest is adding some emphasis like to the clients or to important points. Like, for example, Nikki studied abroad in London, and it was specifically an acting program. She even met Professor Snape before he came to his unfortunate end. So things like that would be cool. You know, she also went through Second City, their conservatory program. These are all really cool things that not every actor can say about themselves. So I would highlight that, add emphasis to it. Maybe also, you know, now that I am thinking about this with a new mind, directly embedding a contact form, thinking about what are those fields that would be necessary from the type of people that you're hearing from. So, you know, if it's an agent, what agency are they from? If it's a client, you know, who do they represent? Whatever. So adding that would be also useful. And then maybe also a link to encourage people to check out portfolio work. So maybe having one for acting and one for modeling, and explaining, again, the type of acting and modeling that she does. So kind of like a final thing here. I don't know if the search bar is necessary. I mean, it came standard with the theme, which is why it's there, but maybe we could look into disabling it just because it doesn't seem necessary. Also, this is problematic because it refers to a blog that we never installed. So again, Nikki, we have some catch up to do. Maybe also adding in, like we talked about, what kind of model are you? What kind of actress are you? Adding that into the tagline would also be useful, just because not everybody's going to land on the homepage as that first page. And then maybe changing this around, maybe building out the footer more to be more useful instead of having this sort of gimmicky follow button thing. I thought it looked cool at the time, but I'm kind of reconsidering it now that we're going through it from a UX perspective. I can't even remember actually how this translates to mobile. Let's see if we can figure it out. There are some interesting visual cues like that back to top thing you saw here, but again, it's like, you know, how useful is that on mobile when you have your fat fingers and you might not hit it right? I don't even see the social media call to action anymore, so that's kind of a problem for mobile, which is where most visitors come from. So I would probably also change this so that it goes in the footer, so that there is a footer that has a call to action to get in touch and to also check out the portfolio. So Nikki, we've got some work to do. It has a good foundation, but it looks like some things have broken recently. One final thing that I will call your attention to is the fact that this website used to be hosted on iPage, and it was like a Weebly website, so you could see the favicon right here, which is just the thing that shows up in your browser bar and your URL. It's still that like weird, like bubbly Weebly thing, and we could probably just make that into Nikki's face, kind of like if you look at my website, I just did that on mine. And once it loads, which is taking far too long and I need to work on that, you should be able to see it. Okay, so you can see it right there. See, it's just the same like profile pic that I use for all my author bios and stuff like that. So anyway, I don't want to take up any more of your time. This is the audit of Nico Pressley's acting and modeling portfolio. We will be back again next week at the same time. We should be pretty consistent from here on out. And with that, Happy New Year.